Hello folks, welcome back. In this video we're going to be looking at setting cookies, okay? And it's all for this vibe here, so that when people sign in and they tick remember me, it's going to give them a cookie. We'll be able to remember them, they'll be able to remember what's happening with us, and everything's going to be perfect. So I'm going to be using modules, I think, to handle the cookies. You know, I am the module kid. That's what they call me these days, you know. Well, actually, nobody calls me that, but, you know, let's just use modules. You know, they've worked out okay up until now, don't you think? So I'm going to head into the modules folder here, and we'll make a brand new module up here. I'm going to call this module Site Cookies. Can you handle the vibe? It's going to be called Site Cookies. And as is the tradition around these parts, I'm going to set up the module in the usual fashion that we're all accustomed to. So it goes like that. Now we are going to have a table here called Site Cookies, so let's set this up as well. Okay, that all looks good to me. We are renaming this file here. So this becomes site_cookies, and that's the vibe up here. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. And the table name is going to be site_cookies. Okay, excellent. Right, so we now have a module that's all ready to rock and roll. It's called Site Cookies. Now this module is going to have a table, a database table that corresponds with the module. So let's create a brand new table, a table for the Site Cookies module, and we'll call this table I don't know. How about site_cookies? Yes, thank you very much. Life is that easy, folks. Okay, so it's going to be called Site Cookies. Here we go. It's going to be an ID. It's going to have an ID, primary key, auto increment, all of that usual stuff. Yes, thank you very much indeed. We're going to have a thing called cookie code here. That's going to be the next field. Variable character, let's do 128. The next field is going to be user ID. That is just an integer, okay? That's the vibe. It's just an integer. And the last one is expiry_date, okay? And expiry date is going to be an integer as well, and all of that normal stuff that we're used to. So there we go. Look, see? It's a brand new table. It's called Site Cookies, and a glorious brand new module called Site Cookies. Now, Codeigniter does have some Site Cookies stuff built in. I think there's a helper or something like that. But actually, you know, sometimes in life, there are instances where you're as well just reverting to normal PHP. Maybe Codeigniter does not bring too much to the table in this instance. So if you have a little look at this W3 Schools website that for some reason lots of developers hate, but it has some examples of setting cookies and deleting cookies that are just so simple and so nice and easy. Actually, folks, I cannot resist. So I'm going to be using this vibe here, okay? Now, we're going to be setting these cookies. When you set a cookie, the vibe is that the cookie is going to have a name. Do they call it a name? Yeah, I think they do. I wasn't sure if they call it a key or a name. So set cookie, yeah, they're calling it a name, right? So let's go to site settings. And we'll build a little private function here called getCookieName. Okay, look at this, by the way, I'm all over the place. Anyway, we'll call this one getCookieName, okay? And I'll just say something like cookie name equals. Now, I do not want to do anything. Let me tell you, folks, sometimes there are browsers out there that have been known to be a bit temperamental when it comes to cookies. I'm thinking about browsers like some of the old versions of Internet Explorer and whatnot. So I do not want to do anything to rock the boat. I don't want any weird characters or anything, nothing to rock the boat. But I do recommend coming up with maybe I don't know, something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, say, random letters. Nothing weird, but just something a little bit random, you know, it's going to help with security, I think. And we're just going to return that, okay? So we now have a cookie name. It has a random strings, just 7 letters, and that's fine. Nothing too clever, folks. Can you handle the vibe? And with every site we do, I would replace this with some other string, you know, just something else that looks kind of cool. That'll do, actually, okay? That's the vibe. Okay, time out. Listen, I've just listened back to this thing up until now, and all I can hear is breathing and sniffing, you know, it's like, you know, and I think I sound like some kind of an oddball. So, I've just added a filter mic pop screen thing, quite a fancy one in front of the mic. Let me show you this. Here it's here. So this is what I can see in front of me right now, and as you can see, look, check it out. It's a brand new, I think they call them pop screens. So hopefully that's going to help, and I apologise for all of my weird breathing and stuff, man. I can assure you, I'm not some kind of a playground pervert, you know. I'm just a guy that breathes loud, you know. So hopefully that's going to help, okay? Okay, back to the tutorial. I really hope that does help. Right, so we have made some awesome stuff and the vibe is quite incredible. I'm going to go over to site cookies and I'm going to make 3 functions that are going to change the universe. The first one is going to be called set cookie. Set cookie for whom? Set cookie for a user ID. Now, by the way, the reason I'm using user ID and not customer ID is because I'm trying to build modules that are totally reusable so that I can just snap them onto other websites, you know. So I'm not worrying about customer IDs, member IDs and all of that stuff. User ID is going to be just fine. Anyway, the next function that I'm going to make is I need to take my watch off because it's hitting off that metal thing. Anyway, the next function is going to be called attempt get user ID. Okay, attempt to get the user ID. It's going to try and figure out who this user is. Do they have a cookie? Yes, thank you very much, and all of that stuff. The last function is going to be called destroy cookie. Okay, and that's all we need, folks. Anyway, let's set a cookie. Can you handle the vibe? Let's set a cookie. So the vibe is, if we go to this W3 Schools thing, here's the vibe, right? So I'm just going to copy that and paste in for the moment. So we need a cookie name, a value, and an expiry time. Let's get that stuff right now. I'm going to start off by loading up a module. And the module is going to be site security, and then I'm going to load up another module because it's going to come in handy. The other module is going to be called site settings. Let's move this down. In fact, let's comment it out because I want to do some cool stuff beforehand. So I'm going to create a data variable. The data variable is going to be called cookie underscore code. And that is going to be this site settings, and we're gonna, site security, and the vibe is we're going to generate a random string using site security. Check it out. Now, we know that the table is 128, right? So if we just write 128, that's all going to be fine. We don't even need to use quotation marks or anything. We now have a cookie code. The vibe is quite awesome. Right, so we've got the cookie code. We now need the user ID, right? So that's pretty easy. I'm just going to say data user ID equals user ID. This is all looking good, folks. And then we need an expiry date. Okay, so let's do a little bit of work for the expiry date. I'll do it up here to try and keep things neat, right? So we've got today. We know that one day is 86400. By the way, do you remember that number? You should remember that number. It's kind of a magical number that we developers use all the time. So if there's ever a number worth remembering, apart from my birthday, then it's the amount of seconds in one day. Anyway, 2 weeks equals 1 day times 14, and that means that 2 weeks ahead equals now time plus 2 weeks. Yes, indeed, Chico, you are a champion of the universe. You are a champion of the universe. So let's do expiry date now. Now we know what's happening here. The expiry date is going to equal 2 weeks ahead. Okay, so now we can just do a standard database insert, and look at that, we've now inserted the vibes into our table. We're going to remember what's happening, everything's cool, and thank you very much. So now comes the good bit. Whoops, sorry about that. Now comes the good bit. We are now going to set the cookie, okay, using some standard PHP vibes. Now the cookie name is something that we need to get from site settings. Let's bring it across right now. We'll say cookie underscore name is this, site settings, and then we have get cookie name. Okay, so chuck that in. We now have the cookie name. I'm going to chuck that straight into this set cookie thing here. That's pretty cool. Now the value of the cookie is going to be equal to this data cookie code. Let's chuck it in. The expiry time is going to be equal to data expiry time. Let's chuck it in. And now, crack open the champagne and celebrate. You now know how to set a cookie. So the next vibe that we're going to tune into is this attempt get ID. Actually, let's call it attempt get user ID, okay? And just so you know what's going to happen, it's going to attempt to, let's do something else. Check to see if the user has a valid cookie. And if so, figure out the user ID from the cookie. That's what we're going to do, folks. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. So, how do you check to see if someone has a valid cookie? Well, the first thing we do is we load up site settings, and we're going to get our cookie name. Okay, here it is right up here actually. Why waste your fingers typing? So cookie name is site settings, get cookie name. And to check for the cookie, all we say is if, and then is set, and then we do $_cookie, okay, and then we do square bracket and the cookie name, okay. If is set cookie name, then I'll just say echo the cookie is set. Okay, actually echo nothing. Let's just march onwards here, right? This video's gone on long enough. Right, okay. So the vibe is we've got a column called cookie code, right? So the cookie code in this instance equals $cookie, and then we've got the cookie name that we now know the cookie code. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Now, let's not celebrate too soon, because the vibe is they have the cookie, but is it still on the table? Remember all of that stuff? Okay, so let's just check and see if it's still on the table. Let me just scroll up here. So the vibe is we would say query is this get where custom, and we are looking for a cookie where the cookie code is equal to that cookie code that the user has just provided us with, okay. And we're going to look at the num rows returned, and the num rows is query num rows, okay. And if the number of rows is less than 1, it means that the user ID is going to be empty because it's not on the table. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not on the table. Okay. However, Shall we do an else? I think we'll just go straight into a while here, right? If they do have the thing on the table, we can say for each query, loading up result as row, and then we would just say user ID equals, now hold on a second here, hold on a second. We do have user ID on the table, remember? So stay cool. User ID is row user ID. That's the vibe. So if they've got the cookie, we check the table, we try to get the user ID. But remember, that's if they've got the cookie. If they don't have the cookie, we can just say user ID is empty. And then we return the user ID, okay? So that's pretty good. We now know how to set the cookie. We know how to attempt to get the cookie. Shall we go for gold and do destroy cookie as well? Let's do that. It's pretty easy. So to delete the cookie, we just set the expiry time to somewhere in the past, right? So that's the vibe there. So once again, we're going to load up site settings and get the cookie name, right? There it is. So we're going to set the cookie for this cookie name, and so the second field is the cookie value. We can indeed just leave that 2 quotes or single quotes, whatever makes you feel good, you know. And the expiry time, see how we've got these 3 vibes here? The expiry time is just time minus 300. That is actually going to be just fine. Right, so we now know all of the stuff. Look, it's fantastic, Ola. Let's test it, and then we'll be done with this video, okay? So here we go. I'm going to make up a function called test. Let's do echo anchor, and we'll do something like site cookies / test set, okay? And we'll do a thing that says set the cookie. We're going to have to build that, okay? Next, let's have one that attempts to get the user ID, okay? So we'll say in fact, it doesn't need to be a function. We'll just say user ID equals this, attempt get user ID, and that's the vibe. And if the user ID, if is numeric user ID, then we'll say echo h1, you are user ID, okay? And then let's add in a vibe for destroying the cookie. Yes, let's do that. Let's do that. That's going to be kind of important as well. So we'll do another link up here. And the code's all over the place, but who cares, right? So I'll say test destroy, and we'll say destroy the cookie. Okay, nice. We've got some nice tests. Everything looks actually a bit messy. I'll tidy up a bit. Hold on. Okay, here we go. So something like that, okay, everything cool, you feeling good? I'm feeling good. So let's do test set, okay, function test underscore set, okay, let's do function test destroy, okay, and let's get this working. So test set is going to give, let's say the user ID is 88. 88 is my little test number that I always use if I'm testing things. The reason why is because 88 is a real full character, and if numbers are not going to fit on the screen, there's a good chance that 88 can catch it out without being a huge and ridiculous number. So 88, we are going to set cookie for this user ID, and then I'll say echo the cookie has now been set, okay? And let's have a couple of links underneath that. Okay, here we go. So right underneath that, we'll have site cookies test, and we'll say get the cookie. because that page does that, and then we'll have destroy the cookie. Right, excellent, we're almost there. We're on the home straight. In a few seconds we'll be testing and as happy as can be, and we can move on to something else. So here we go. Destroy. Destroy is just gonna destroy the cookie. Okay, so right, function test destroy is gonna do this, destroy cookie, and then we'll do a little echo statement saying the cookie has been destroyed. Okay, and then we'll say attempt to get the cookie. Okay, my cases are all over the place here, but stay cool. No need to do destroy the cookie. We'll just do set the cookie again here. And that's us. The test is now ready to rock. Now actually, it's probably a good idea to attempt to delete from the database. Do you know what I'm saying? So basically the vibe is we're going to do something like that. So if they have the cookie, then we now have the cookie code. So I'm going to do a custom MySQL query, and it's going to be delete from site cookies, where cookie code equals, and we've got the cookie code in there. Okay, so that's our vibe. It's a custom query. It's a MySQL query, and thank you very much indeed. Right, I'm going to set the cookie. The cookie has now been set. Now I'm going to try and get the cookie. You are user ID 88. Now I'm going to destroy the cookie. Okay, okay, that's why we test, folks. That's why we test. Delete from site cookies where cookie code equals. Could it be this vibe here? Could it be that vibe here? Yes, indeed. Attempt to get the cookie. We cannot get the cookie. But don't celebrate too soon, you know, because you will remember that we had a vibe. Remember the video we were talking about query binding and all that stuff? Do you remember that stuff? Codeigniter, query binding. And if you remember, we are now being completely responsible when it comes to how we handle SQL queries. We are indeed very much aware of SQL injection attacks, and we're going to do the right thing. So this is one of those situations where a custom query is nice, but for all the reasons previously mentioned, we should actually use query binding. Okay, and by the way, if you were looking at the screen and thinking, man, use query binding, then I am so impressed. Congratulations if you picked that one up. So where cookie code equals, we do a question mark. Remember all of that stuff? And we pass an array in, and the array contains the cookie code. And look at that. Now we are doing query binding. It's fantastic. So let's try this again. Here we go. I'm going to get the cookie. User ID is 88. I'm going to destroy the cookie. I'm going to attempt to get the cookie. We don't have it. I'm going to set the cookie. I'm going to get the cookie. And you know what I'm going to do now, folks? I'm going to look at the clock here. It's just coming up for 5 o'clock. And if I do this, open up a new tab and do that, it gives us the user ID of 88, right? I'm going to take a break, check this out on the clock, and I'll come back maybe in 15 minutes or something, and we'll see if it still remembers the user ID, okay? Okay, welcome back. Now for you, it will just be a few seconds, but if you look at the clock on the top right hand side here, you can see that it's now 8 minutes past 6, so more than an hour has passed since I was last recording, and I haven't done anything at all to this screen. I promise. I've not refreshed or I've not done anything, and as a matter of fact, I'm gonna close all of the tabs to the right, and I'm even going to close the entire browser. So there we go, and I'm going to open up a brand new instance of the browser, and we'll head on in and see what happens. Localhost, it would be CI shop, site cookies test. So over an hour later, do you think it's going to remember? Here we go. And there we go. I think we can say that that was a successful test. Now, actually, between the hour or so that I've just been hanging about, a couple of things occurred to me. One is, let me just have a look here. One is that we should actually, logically speaking, have the database delete happening before that. And the other thing that occurred to me, just quickly, it'll only take a few seconds, but we should have an auto delete old that automatically deletes the old cookies, right? So the way that this would work is we would just say now time equals time, and then we would do a custom MySQL query, which is delete from site cookies where expiry date is less than now time. That's all we need, and that is, man, my fingers are so cold I can't type. I'm going to need to put the heating on. Anyway, that's our auto delete old. Now, I would not recommend setting up a cron job. I would not recommend running this every time that you load a page or something like that. However, maybe when you set a cookie or something like that, maybe that's a good time to just, you know, keep the table clean and run auto delete old. So that's kind of a cool vibe. So that's cookies for you folks. That's pretty much it. Refresh the screen, it's still here. Look, destroyed it. Oh, oh gee. Just when you thought you were on a roll. If is set. Right, one moment. Here we go. Here we go. Just as I was about to say cheerio, right, that's us. Test, don't mess with me, Vivaldi, that's us. Right, here we go. Attempt to get the cookie, we do not have it. Set it, we do have it set. There it is, we're going to destroy it. Attempt to get it, we're going to destroy it. We're going to set it, we're going to get it. We're going to destroy it, we're going to attempt to get it. It's all very, very cool, okay? So that's us. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.